Hello friends, welcome to my channel, Homeopathy Super Sessions by Dr. Jarvis. Today we'll be doing Richard Hughes' Lecture 6, Similia Similibus. So in this lecture, basically he will tell you on what principles the cure will take place and what are the properties of drugs like the mechanical, chemical and the dynamic property, and also he tells you something about the antipathic mode of treatment and the allopathic mode of treatment, and he concludes that homeopathy is the best system of medicine. So in this lecture, the maxim Similia Similibus Curentur deals with the phenomena of disease, its different expressions, and it includes the drug action also. So basically out here, Similia Similibus Curentur will tell you about the evolution of the disease and the different expressions through signs and symptoms, and also the drug action is included. Therefore, now let us see how we can put the similar theory to cure the disease. So now let us see how we can use the similar theory towards the cure of the disease. In order to do so, we must know the whole series of drug effects on the healthy person. So therefore, in order to know this, we have to know the drug effects on the healthy person through the process of drug proving. However, some of them by their nature must be excluded from their category. They fall into various categories: the mechanical, chemical and the dynamic. So these categories have to be excluded. In the mechanical, when drugs are introduced in sufficient quantity, they act on the body on the mechanical level due to the bulk and weight and are of little use in medicine. So when you introduce a drug into the body and they act on the mechanical level because of their bulk and their weight. So because of the bulk and their weight, they are of little use as medicines. Examples are swallowing of crude mercury to overcome intestinal obstruction and olive oil to detach the biliary calculi. Though they are effective, they have nothing to do with the application of the principle of the similia similibus. Now, chemical. Drugs taken from the mineral kingdom have chemical properties which have the effects on the body and also outside it. So the drugs are taken, if you take the drugs from the mineral kingdom, they have the chemical properties, that is the effect of the drugs on the body and also outside the body. Example, an alkali will neutralize acid in the stomach and also as seen in a test tube, so it may be useful for heart. So in the body, it helps to neutralize the acid as well as you can see outside the body by the means of a chemical reaction in the test tube. They cause distress by their presence and remove the symptoms due to the chemical properties. We can use them. So they cause the distress, and because of their chemical properties, they will be able to remove the symptoms, so we can use them. In these examples, homeopathicity plays no part, and yet they are rational enough in themselves. So in this example, naturally, you don't have anything to do with the law of similars. Now, the dynamic, the third kind of drug energy is at the dynamic level, which is present only in the living organism. So only in the living organisms, this dynamic aspect will be seen of the dynamic drug energy. However, it has its own limitations. The action of Arnica to ease pain and promote the resolution of contusions is a dynamic one. So as you all know, Arnica is used for bad effects of injuries or falls when taken to help to ease the pain and to promote the resolution of contusions. No such condition can be produced by applying Arnica to the healthy part. So this sort of condition cannot be induced by applying Arnica to the healthy part locally. Santonini kills the roundworms by the dynamic toxic power, but it has nothing to do with the rule of Similia Similibus. Thus, the dynamic acting drugs act constitutionally and become homeopathic remedies and not merely topical. So, basically, the dynamic action of the drug has to do with the action of the drug, which acts on the full constitution of the individual and not only and not merely a topical application. The similarity required here is the pathogenicity effects of the drugs compared to the phenomena of the disease. So what similarity we have to see? We have to see the effects of the drugs and compare it to the effects of the disease. So the effects of the drugs are seen, or the pathogenicity is seen through the process of drug proving. And then when a disease individual comes, we have to see the phenomena of disease expressed through signs and symptoms. So similarity is there. We have to evolve a similarity between the drug effects and the phenomena of the disease. This was done by Hahnemann in his work Materia Medica Pura and the Chronic Disease. It was also recorded in the Encyclopedia of Drug Pathogenesis. The action of dynamically constitutional acting drugs have been recorded by proving it on healthy subjects. So again, he reminds you that the only method of knowing the principle of similia similibus is the action of drugs which are proved on the healthy human beings. We can apply our knowledge in three modes to such an application. So he said, for such an application, there are three modes. The first one is the alleo or the allopathic mode, where there is no relation between the physiological effects of the drug and the phenomena of disease. So as you all know, in the allopathic mode, there is no relationship basically between the large effects of the drugs and that of the disease. Why? Because it was just based on an hypothesis. Second, the Enantio or antipathic mode, which is based on the law of Contraria Contrarus. Here you are dealing with giving a remedy on the basis of opposite. So here, with this law, or with the antipathic mode of treatment, or the enantiopathic mode of treatment, you are giving a remedy based on the opposite. That is, for if a person is suffering from diarrhea, give a medicine that will cause constipation. Third, by giving the drugs on similar basis instead of opposites to its physiological effects. So third way is by giving a drug on the similar basis and not on the opposite. You may administer diuretic for polyuria or a cathartic for diarrhea, and by doing so, you are following the Hahnemann doctrine of Similia Similibus Curentur. Hahnemann had his objections to the allopathic medication by saying that it's uncertain and injurious. So during that time, the allopathic method of treatment was totally uncertain and it was definitely injurious. It has more side effects which were detrimental to the patient's health. Hahnemann supported the antipathic mode of treatment by saying that it is rapid palliative and it is as direct as homeopathy. However, his views for the antipathic method were different, and he said that antipathic method can be used. Why? Because it acts as a rapid palliative and it is as direct as homeopathy. So when can you use it as a rapid palliative? In case of acute poisoning, it would be useful to save the patient's life, for example, to antidote morphia by atropine. So in cases of poisonings, or in cases where there's an emergency, where you have to save the patient's life. So in such method, the antipathic mode of treatment can be used because it gives rapid palliative relief. Thus, Richard Hughes says that he agrees with Dr. Kidd by holding Contraria Contrariis to be equal with Similia Similibus, the law of therapeutics. So another doctor, Dr. Kidd, also held the same view, and Richard Hughes agreed with him. It is the law of palliation which gives relief in temporary disorders, and furthermore, in incurable disease, it is at times all that can be done. So he says that by using the antipathic mode of treatment, you are using the law of palliation, which is based on the Similia Similibus Curentur, and as a result of which you can give relief in temporary disorders, or you can give relief in diseases which are incurable. However, palliation will only give temporary relief and will never cure the disease. And it again reminds you that you can only obtain temporary relief, but you can never cure the disease. It has its own limits of usefulness. It is helpful for only immediate needs and passing trouble. So as I told you, in an emergency situation or for a troublesome symptom of the patient which is tormenting the patient off and on, then you can give temporary relief by using the antipathic mode of treatment. It is not competent to deal with complex, persistent, or recurrent diseases. So antipathy cannot be used to deal with a complex or a complicated disease, or a persistent disease, or a recurrent disease. The disease will go on coming again and again, the symptoms will go on coming again and again, or which are persistent throughout the patient's life, and they go on recurring at regular intervals. This method, that is the antipathic method of treatment, will not be useful. It deals only with single symptom at a time and causes more harm than good as regards its side effects. So in the antipathy in the antipathic type of treatment, you are only taking one single symptom at a time, and and at times it may cause more harm than good. Thus, the third method or the homeopathic method is more superior. So now we have the last method, that is the third method, that is the homeopathic method, which is more superior. Like antipathy, it acts directly on the affected parts, leaving the healthy parts unharmed. So, like antipathy, it will act directly on the affected parts, but the main advantage is that the healthy parts will remain intact or unharmed. Thus, the cure is gentle and complete and makes the use of minute doses but take into consideration the totality of symptoms. Therefore, he says that the cure will be rapid, gentle, and complete, and it makes the use of very small doses or minute doses, and we take into consideration the totality of symptoms. Richard Hughes now tells us about the safety of method, the superiority of the kind of medicine used, and the success it has gained in contrast to traditional medicine. The antipathic and homeopathic mode of treatment has the advantage over the allopathic system is that it acts directly on the affected parts without disturbing the healthy parts. So as previously told that the antipathic and the homeopathic mode of treatment has this advantage over the allopathic system is that the antipathic and homeopathic mode of treatment will act directly on the affected parts. So the parts which are not healthy, they will be acted upon, and the remaining parts will not be disturbed. Homeopathy is gentle in action as compared to the antipathic or allopathic system of medicine. And furthermore, he says that as compared to the antipathic mode of treatment, homeopathy is gentle in action. Here, large physiological doses of medicines are used with side effects. However, homeopathy converts this into minute doses with beneficial results, bringing comfort and peace to the patient. So, in the antipathic treatment or in the allopathic treatment, large physiological doses are used, and however, in homeopathy, these large physiological doses are converted into minute infinitesimal doses, bringing comfort and peace to the patient. In homeopathic practice, we induce artificial disease as those are the malady in consideration, and it displays a kind of action known as specific. So, therefore, in homeopathic practice, when we see a patient, when we choose a remedy according to the totality of symptoms and we give it in an infinitesimal dynamized dose, it will create an artificial disease, which is similar to that of consideration. That means similar to that of the patient. And it will display a kind of action known as specific. Thus, homeopathy is a specific medication, and Similia Similibus is an instrument for the discovery of the specific, not limited to type of disease, but to each individual case. So, therefore, he says homeopathy is a specific medicine, and it is based on Similibus principle, and it is not limited to the type of disease, but to each individual case. That means what? We are treating each individual case as own peculiarity and taking the peculiar symptoms and prescribing. And we don't go according to the diagnosis of the disease or the type of disease. Hahnemann till 1808 used the word specific and later on began to use the word homeopathy. Hufeland, the head of German medicine, allowed to use this claim as he said the aim of homeopathy is to find specific for individual forms of disease which should be of great service to mankind. So as you all know, Hufeland, he was a German allopathic physician and he had his own journal in which many articles were given. And also Hahnemann, after he discovered homeopathy, he started giving articles on homeopathy in this Hufeland's journal. And initially, Hufeland allowed it because he said that the aim of homeopathy was to find a specific form of disease which would be of great service to mankind. Furthermore, medicine in an applied science wherein specifics belong to the sphere of pure art. So he said, furthermore, medicine is an applied science. So in general, medicine is an applied science, whereas the specifics, that is homeopathy, belongs to the sphere of pure art. Sphere of pure art. So basically, you have to have the art within you to elicit the correct specific medicine. Even in the time of Hippocrates, many systems of medicine were there based on empirical theories instead of rational ones. So if you go to see even in the history of medicine, at the time of Hippocrates, the father of medicine, many systems of medicine were there. And all these systems of medicine were based on an empirical theory instead of rational theories or theory belonging to the truth. It was only Hahnemann who discovered the law of specific action and rescued it from empirism and made a rational system of medicine. Therefore, it was only Dr. Hahnemann who discovered this law and of specific action, and he brought he converted the empirical system of medicine into a rational system of medicine, a system which was based on the theory, hypothesis of false beliefs. He bought into a rational system where it is based on truth and nothing else but the truth. The conclusion drawn is that homeopathic remedies are the best and can be employed without hesitation. So the conclusion drawn is that homeopathy is far more superior, and we can say this without any hesitation. Homeopathic remedies act deep into the organism and has a penetrating influence upon the disease as a whole. So furthermore, it says that since homeopathic medicines are dynamized, they will act deep into the organism, or they will penetrate deep into the organism, and they will influence the disease as a whole. They act silently without any side effects and extinguish the morbid process of the disease. So he says that they act silently without any side effects. So all means it acts very gently. There are no side effects, and it definitely extinguishes the morbid process of the disease. We yet have to study the mode of selecting the proper remedy, which is in the next chapter. So therefore, Richard Hughes says that we still have to study the mode of selecting the proper remedy, which will be said in the next chapter. So thank you very much. Please do subscribe, share, like, and comment, and pass on this video or share this video with different students from different colleges so that they are benefiting. Thank you so much.